Hi, Yakshii. Welcome to the show.
Hi, how are you doing?
I'm pretty good. Thank you so much for being here on a Saturday.
No worries, it's great.
Amazing. All right. Yakshii, would love to understand a little bit about your background. I know you're a senior recruiter at Recruiter Flow, and
Mhm.
you've got like 4 or 5 years of end-to-end recruitment experience
Yeah.
across different companies. You've hired talent across sales, marketing, product engineering, customer success. At least that's as far as I know. I'd love
Mhm.
to understand what I'm missing.
I think nothing apart from that. I think what really gives me joy is something how I can ensure that the employee journey is great. I know what you're trying to do, trying to solve most of the things for the interviewers and how they can approach things. Most importantly, how that really works out for me is somebody, if in case I can build somebody's confidence, even after that person does not go through, I am giving a candid feedback. I am giving a lot of things that make sure that their impact grows bigger in all the interviews that they keep going with.
Tell me something. I always feel that, a recruiter role is kind of often misunderstood.
Mhm.
People, and that has been a notion for like
Yeah.
years. And I'm not sure if anybody has tried to change it, if anybody's even trying to change that.
Yeah.
I think I wanna start with that. What do you think is the perception of a word of the word recruiter or the title recruiter outside your world?
Somebody who can do the first round of interview, there's a perception that recruiters just have a basic understanding around your role. But I think that's much wider. Recruiters these days are actually trying to go deep into each role that they're working with, trying to see how they can map out, how they can ask questions so that the next hiring manager would have a little more sorted sort of profiles to go about. I think a lot of candidates do not really understand that. They're more around, this is a recruiter and doesn't really understand shit about my work. But I think that's great. I think that notion can be changed with effort. Of course, recruiters out there that I know in circle, and I myself am actively working on how things can be more automated. Plus,
Mm,
the product itself is also making my life easier. But yeah.
got it. So tell me something like, are recruiters supposed to be specialized, given that you're dealing with a wide variety of roles at times?
I personally feel it's going to be great. It can make you more updated around things. Since AI has come, I think more that you'll know around things, it's more impact and more leverage that you have around AI. I think more impact, more learning is what I feel.
Mm,
Definitely, if in case
mm.
I'm looking after a technical role, it's going to be more niche for me. I will not be able to spread my wings, but I think that's fine. That's how roles as recruiter go about.
I have worked with all kind of recruiters. I think the best ones, which I felt they helped me close a position in 7 days, and that girl was very very young, and she spent time listening to the call. She spent time with me like 1 hour a day for 5 days for us to understand the role, and I could totally see, the impact she was able to make. Great, Yakshi. Thank you so much once again for being here today. Today, we're going to talk everything but the high level stuff. We're going to go deeper into understanding your mindset. Like, how do you think? How do you evaluate something? How do you reject somebody in 5 minutes? What
Mhm.
makes you click and say that, hey, you know what, this person is definitely going to get hired or at least going to the next round? So, all those stuff, we'll start with something very, very simple. How long does it actually take you to decide if a candidate is good or not after you talk to them? And tell me more, both for phone and if you're on the video interview.
Typically faster than most of the candidates think. It's around 2 to 3 minutes. I'm already making a opinion. There are a lot of signals that I'm picking up on, but there's no final decision per se. That obviously takes a lot of time, but I do have a hypothesis in my mind that this is something that's going to really work out for me. I'll probably notice if in case they're having a clear introduction, not a generic one which is already on the LinkedIn or resume, whether they understand that the role that they're interviewing for, how structured their thought process are. Usually, strong candidates are more subtle around the conversations early on in the stage, like clear conversations. They have more concise, more impact that they can put up. Whereas weaker candidates have a very generic, they're trying to toggle between different screens as well. I think that's how really puts a little effort wherein I can understand and differentiate what would really work out, what sort of candidate would work out.
Wow, so many things to unpack here. So first, you said you're able to make a judgment in 3 minutes, and you have your own opinion. Tell me, how do you form that opinion?
Somebody, let's suppose the starting 1 minute is them trying to introduce themselves. Now when they're introducing themselves, they're just talking about the impact and the work that they've done. They're not really talking about the challenges that they've faced. If I'm talking to a product manager, let's suppose. I would want to understand how structured their thought process is. If in case they're able to put the problem solving abilities in the 10 minutes, like let's suppose I had this PRD I had to take care of, and this were like three other things in pipeline in parallel on P0, how did I go about it? If in case there were still many challenges, if in case there's still something that currently are working upon which you're not really good at, but then you're actively putting an effort around that. That's the kind of candidate that would stand out for me.
You said something that you're able to recognize the toggling screen. What do you mean by that?
Looking through screens, trying to multitask in a conversation. Typically, a person who is very nervous would try to look right and left, would try to put up a filler word like maybe, not having a structured thought, but they're not actually putting their thoughts into the conversation, is how I can understand in case the person is a weak candidate or a strong candidate.
When you said they're toggling screen, do you mean are they toggling screen because they're nervous and they're trying to multitask just to calm that nervousness, or they're actually maybe reading something while they're talking to you?
Reading something is typical. People do put their bullet points, which is fine. Until you're
Sure.
able to explain what you have in your notes, I do not mind you reading through it. But a whole summary that you're reading, not trying to make relevance to my questions to the role, would really put me off.
Okay. Talking about when you said the eye movement, you talked about how they're taking pauses. How do you look at that eye movement? Because I'm pretty sure most people miss it. So if
Yeah.
you're able to catch it, I would want to understand from your point of view, like how are you catching it? For example, if I'm looking at right now, what are you making out from my eye movement?
So I am right now looking at you, right?
Mm.
If in case I'm nervous or if in case I'm thinking through things, I would probably have my hands on my trackpad, trying to see what I can do next, what I can obviously like what I can put up as a effort to try to make sense to you. But that does distract you a lot. You do not have a lot of conversation that you're doing. It's just that the theoretical aspect that's coming your way. But I think it's just the eye movement that really works out.
And you're saying you're able to quickly catch that signals.
Yeah.
And once you, let's say, catch that signal, now how do you decode it? Like, do you put that on a paper that, hey, this person is nervous because of that? Or are you making a split decision to do something else in the moment?
I typically call it out. I get it. This is something that you're interviewing. Why not be candid with me? Try to understand that I'm just having a conversation. I'm not putting you into a spot.
You mentioned how you pick signals. Tell me more about that. Like, what are those signals? Because I'm pretty sure somebody who's watching this or listening to this would want to make sure they're emitting the right signals.
So signals in terms of the conversation, there are a lot of subtle signs wherein a person is trying to follow a logical flow. More as an ownership, rather than saying we did, he says I did this. I think that would really work. And specific examples as to a real life example that this is what they've done and this is how it impacted the whole flow. If in case they've driven revenue or if in case they've increased the conversion rate. So a strong candidate sounds like they've actually lived the work, not just studied it.
I have a lot of students who are all fresh graduates, who are all MBA freshers, and they are trying to make an impact during these interviews. And since they don't have an experience, they may have lack of confidence and they don't know what to say. Now, from their perspective, what could they say or what could they do in the first 10 minutes to make that impact on Yakshi?
First, be candid. I understand you're a fresher, which is fine. I was once a fresher as well. Until you know what you're getting yourself into, if in case I'm trying to look into HR, I was sure why I'm looking into HR. If in case you can just put that out in words that this is something that really entices me, this is something that really works out for me. This is something that I feel I'm good at. Obviously, I do not have a in life set of experience that I can show on papers, but that's something that I'm really interested in and can put a lot of efforts to actively learn through things.
So you are basically rewarding the candidness, accepting the fact that they don't know stuff, which is clear.
Yeah.
Are there incidents when people who are freshers try to hide that, or maybe try to embellish the experience when they have not lived through it?
Yeah, absolutely. Most of the candidates are actually trying to read through the LinkedIn summaries and not telling real stories. That's where I came up with a candidate. Candidate would really go well for me rather than a candidate who's just trying to fake things because anyways, it's not going to work out if in case I hired that person.
Let's talk about a little bit about the communication because candidates think communication means speaking fluent English. Some of them feel like they don't have the same command. What do you actually do when What do you actually mean when people say, "Oh, I want somebody who communicates well"?
Okay. A poor communication is not really about the accent or the sort of vocabulary words that you use. I do not want high words. I want somebody who can, if in case the person is giving long answer with no structure, that's going to put me off. Somebody who's jumping in between ideas. Talk about one idea. Why do you want to talk about 10 different ideas at the same time? Rather than not actually the answering the questions, they're actually putting in a lot of filler words and not giving relevance to what my question was. That's the biggest problem wherein they have lack of clarity of their own thoughts, or they're nervous enough to not put it out there.
And how do you tell the difference between somebody who's actually nervous and someone who genuinely lacks clarity? How do you draw a difference?
Firstly, if in case you're talking too much, great. I would want to know what you're doing, but I don't think speed is more a lot of relevance to it until you're having structured thoughts. Somebody who pauses in between conversations. I am taking my own sweet time to think through things before I put it out in the recruiter's mind. Somebody who has a little bit of examples, how they can. I am a quick learner. I get it.
Mm.
How is a quick learner? What did you do to understand that you're a quick learner? Without that, it's
Prove
just
it.
that you're putting out in front of me.
So basically saying, prove it. Show me an example. Show me a proof.
Yeah.
All right. Is there a specific word or let's say a phrase which you feel that candidates typically use that immediately tells you that this is a rehearsed answer and you don't even need to go into the depth of it? Like that instant judgment.
I think a quick learner is something that I just gave away. I I get it, you're a quick learner. I think I'm very nice at doing this or that. How do
Mm.
you go about it? I would not understand a lot of things in the technical side of things, but I would actively put an effort. Why don't you put an active effort to make me understand what you're doing?
One of the ways how I quickly spot that they have reversed this answer when most people, especially in the Asia I've seen, they would start their introduction as, hey, I have 3.2 and 3.4. First of all, for me, I'm doing the mental calculation because till today, I don't know what 3.4 means. 3 years, 4 months, or is it 4 divided by 12? I don't know that, right? And then they would start with the degree, they would start with the name, all the things which are not important to me. And like you said, they would try to talk a little bit about the personality because they have been told they have to mix and match. So they would talk about how I'm a quick learner, how I like mountaineering, hiking, all this stuff. Sure, some of that is important. Let's talk a little bit about the intro because I think most of the questions I get are around intro. Tell me what a good intro should, what great intro should look like to you.
One of the interviews that I took, the person had a very structured, he started with, let me give you a quick overview of my career about in 10 to 16 seconds. And let me give you a little deeper as to how I can be more useful around things. Very structured, very confident. I think that 60 seconds was great for me to understand if in case this person could work out or not. Definitely,
Wow. Okay.
I was really interested to speak to him further.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Now tell me the worst type of introductions you see on a regular basis, like which people, which is so obvious. You're like, why are people not doing this? Why are
Yes.
people doing this right now? Sorry.
So basically, I did my schooling in so and so, and I that person specifically spends 5 minutes describing their whole life story, which is great. I appreciate that, but why don't we talk about the work? I have other candidates to interview as well.
I
So
mean,
yeah.
how old are they? Like, are they fresh out of school? I'm sure not, right?
1 year of experience, I think, should have a little profound or a polished answer to it. But I think 1 year of experience said this to me, which was like, why?
Now, tell me about a scenario where, let's say, the introduction was really bad, but you still went ahead with the candidate anyway, like pushed them to the second round. What would have happened?
So the introduction was bad. I get it. It was like they told me about the whole experience. They mostly a LinkedIn summary, that they read through it. But then when I was asking question, the person was asking questions. If in case I'm putting them into a problem solving situation, they asked me 2, 3 questions before they jump on to giving solution, which is great. I would want that person to have that analytical thinking, clarity around the technical, not just technicality in terms of a technical, engineering person. A person who is also
Mm.
working in sales or let's suppose marketing has clarity around thought process, clarity around numbers that they've done till now. That person actually made sure that I was aware of how bad the situation was when he joined and how they've improved it and what sort of steps they took throughout the journey. I think that's something that was talking more about his work rather than just giving me a little walkthrough around this is what I do. I'm best at. hire me or not.
While you're doing the first level of qualification, the end goal for you and the end goal for the company is that this person should get hired. I want
Yeah.
to talk about the edge scenarios where you believe you did all the pre-qualifiers, you did your job really, really well. The person at the end turned out to be, in the second or third round, turned out to be that you missed something. Can you tell me about a scenario when that happened?
Let's talk about the roles that I've been hiring right now. I am hiring for a field marketer role, which is a little tough nut for me to crack right now. Initial conversations, great. Second round, great. Third round, they wanted to have something different than what we were offering, which is fine. But at the same point, they're not able to explain the numbers that they did in the initial conversation. I was in a delusion that might as well be nervous. But then when I went back and checked on the numbers that we were
Mhm.
looking at, did not really sound impressive. So I think double tapping on the efforts that I should have taken to ensure that the third round it should not be a miss. 2 rounds, a lot of time has been wasted anyways. Typically,
Let's go to a moment which I believe every candidate kind of dread. They get a question they don't know the answer to or not don't know the best way to answer this. Walk me through what goes through your head when that happens.
not every candidate would know every answer to my question. It's great. But if in case you're putting an active effort to explain that, some of the best response would be heavily combined with reasoning. For example, I haven't really worked on a situation like this before, but I would approach it like this. So
Mhm.
recruiters do not really want to know that you know everything. Like what have you been doing? But they're trying to evaluate how would you think in a situation if in case that's what you put up into the role first.
That completely echoes my thoughts and the way I usually tell people to do it. What's the worst way you've seen someone handle not knowing an answer?
Lack of effort. Somebody
Mm,
immediately when I ask them a question that they do not know, there's a lot of
mm,
lack of confidence that you can see in the face. I'm
mm.
not sure. I haven't done that. A lot of silence without actually attempting to things. As I said, strong candidates engage on the question even if they do not know the answer, but the weak candidate would
Mm.
probably just try to pass it along or want to move on to the next question.
Are there any changes in the face movement which you're able to recognize quickly?
Absolutely. The face just drains immediately if they don't know the answer.
Some things may be very natural to you, like where how you're able to quickly take the decision. Hey, like you said,
Yeah.
somebody's face drains. What does that mean? How do you recognize that?
I was smiling all throughout, and suddenly I'm just like, I.
Mm,
So a poker face is something that really reflects upon that. But I think that's a little scientific question, as you mentioned. That's something
mm.
you have to really go into the psychological aspect of things.
Okay, from a candidate perspective, let's say I get a question, I don't know the answer to. You said you appreciate the reasoning. While I may be giving you the reasoning, there's a chance I might be still goofing up.
Yeah.
What can I do in the moment? You have to also acknowledge that this is natural. Let's say if an intruder comes to my house, right? I would be shocked. I have no choice. And that
Yeah.
means that that's a situation I'm not prepared for. What can they do to prepare themselves so that you don't catch that space?
So I, as a recruiter, am asking a lot of follow-up questions, such as what happened.
Mm,
What are the biggest challenges? What would you do differently? One of the roles that I was closing was product manager, wherein I asked them, what does an ideal product manager look like? And how far along are you working upon those aspects? Do you think you're an ideal one? If in
mm,
case they are coming off saying, yes, I'm an ideal candidate, which is great, but how? Give me examples. Now, how they can answer is how they have a structured thought process. Until you do not have a structured thought process, you would not be able to answer any questions that I throw upon your way.
mm.
So I think that really works. Somebody who's not memorizing answers, somebody who can put themselves into my shoes. If in case I'm saying "Ki this is a problem that we're facing, how would you solve it? Because as a recruiter, I'm trying to close positions as fast as possible.
What are some of the questions? Let's assume that you had a 30-minute call with everybody. What are some of the questions you're going to ask everybody, irrespective of the role?
What have you been doing till now? That's my introduction as to why are you interested in this?
Mm,
Have you read around the organization? If not, fine. Have you read around the roles and responsibility that you're interviewing for? How do you think you can make impact? If in case you are working in so role, do you think your role here would be different? What is the next step that you're looking forward in the next organization? And mostly ending around things if in case they have any questions. These are the typical questions which are very standard for me.
Okay, let's shift gears a little again. talking more from the interview point of view, what's something all these candidates believe about interviews that is just completely wrong?
That recruiters are trying to fake them. We would definitely want to hire you. Just give me the right answer.
All right. Have you ever recommended against hiring someone who technically cleared every round?
Yes, people come off with questions after the offer, before the offer, mainly after clearing all
Mhm.
the what would the notice period that would look like, which is fine. You understand that.
Mhm.
Have you seen anybody who leaves the organization within 3 months? Do you have any do they have any repercussions? If in case they do not have a long-term vision for us, that would really put me off. Somebody who is saying I'm interviewing other places, which is great. Every person is. I also
Sure.
do. But if in case you do not have any real interest in the organization, interviewing all this while was a waste for us, why would I want to hire somebody like that? Like, I get it, your company is great, but this is the best company, I would want to go there. Great, but just don't call it out to me. That really hurts my sentiments.
Why did we even speak with you so far if you were not interested? If you had a better product, you were inclined
More
to.
like a cultural aspect. We
Yeah.
as a recruiters and we as HR would want to do a cultural vibe check as well. If in case this person joins and is degrading our culture, the current team members, that would not really work out well for me.
This is $1 million question, Yakshi. I want you to help me answer this because till today, I don't know what happens in culture rounds. And I have placed so many students, candidates, and there are companies, their leaders I've talked to who do not know what happens in the culture round because this is typically taken by founders. The session is not even recorded, so they don't even know. I want to hear from you what happens in the culture rounds.
Typically, we're trying to have a informal conversation, trying to
Mm,
understand their vibe as to what sort of role do they want to look into. My typical questions would be, what have you been doing till now? What are your
mhm,
interests? I'm trying to make it more warm for that person so that they at least open up a bit to me. Obviously, as
mm,
a candidate, they would not really open up well enough. But at the same point, they would talk about how they have jumped, what were they are bad mouthing the previous organizations. Get it. I get one organization would be bad. Not all the organizations could be bad.
mhm.
Not every experience of yours would be a
It's a
negative.
pattern if you're repeating that.
It's a pattern. Now, if in case you're switching organizations every year, that's a typical thing. Even though I interviewed this person has gone to the last round, I would want to understand if in case they're going to do this to me again. As a recruiter and as a company wide vision, it is a little painful for us to replace somebody because they know a lot of things. Now I have to get another person. That's another 3 months of, process. I have to train this person, try to make them understand our side of our culture, our, industry. That does take a lot of time and investment alongside. So trying to take a vibe check if in case this person really willing to join us, somebody who would want to ensure the culture does not get polluted in the current organization.
Tell me something. Given that there's so many checks in place, we all have seen different scenarios when it turns out to be that, hey, we missed
Yeah.
something really glaring, which was right in front of us.
Yeah.
What are some of the things which you think could potentially be missed by any company for that matter?
Okay. Somebody who's again, as I mentioned, somebody who's bad mouthing, having a pattern,
Hmm.
talking negative about every organization, every employer for them, and somebody who just keeps on switching for no apparent reason. They don't have a valid reason. They just have like this is not working out. Not every company you have to switch is for growth. Not at least not in 6 months.
I want to switch to the rapid fire. These are the questions you have no idea what I'm going to ask.
Okay.
Are you ready? You have only 2 seconds to answer. You can't think for more than 2 seconds. So the first thought which comes to your mind is the true one.
Okay.
Best introduction you've ever heard in an interview. What made it work?
Let me give you a quick overview of my career in about 60 seconds. Then we can dive deeper into how I can be more useful. Very structured, very confident.
Worst introduction. What was the mistake?
So basically, I did my schooling from so and so company, and I am taking around 5 more minutes to talk about how my entire life story has been. And then we can give a little time to what I have actually worked upon.
One answer candidates give thinking it's safe, but it's actually hurting them.
I am a quick learner. Everyone says it. Nothing without exam.
One thing about how interviews are run that you think is genuinely unfair, and you know it.
So asking around the CTC and the compensation before we start talking the conversation.
Okay. Would you hire yourself based on how you interviewed earlier in your career?
Absolutely.
Okay, last question. After years of doing this, if you could tell candidates one thing that almost no recruiter will ever say out loud, what would it be?
We're trying to find reasons to hire you and not reject you.
Okay, that's our honest recruiters POV. Actually, thank you so much for actually saying what most people in your position will never do it. And for everyone listening and watching, if this hit different than the usual interview advice you've been getting, share it with someone who has an interview coming up, and see you next time.